You're in a meeting. On the surface, everyone is professional. The words are polite. But you feel something shift. The air gets tight. The easy rhythm of conversation disappears. 10 minutes later, the room is openly hostile, and you wonder how it happened so fast. It didn't. The conflict was visible long before it was audible, if you knew where to look. Legendary relationship researcher John Gottman found that the first 3 minutes of a difficult conversation predict its outcome with startling accuracy. A harsh startup, a tense, aggressive opening, almost guarantees failure. But that harshness isn't just in the words. It's written in the tempo of the exchange, the rhythm of breathing, and the subtle shifts in posture. Most people miss these signals. They get dragged into the content of the fight, unaware that the underlying dynamics have already gone off the rails. This is how you get ambushed by escalations that seem to come from nowhere. But by the end of this video, you won't be one of them. You will learn to see the 3 early warning signs of a rising conflict, and you will learn the exact neutral phrases to steer the room back to center without ever taking the bait. The first and most reliable signal is timing. In a healthy conversation across dozens of cultures, the gap between one person finishing and the next person starting is tiny but crucial, about 200 milliseconds. A quarter of a second. It's just enough time for a thought to land before the next one begins. This tiny pause is a sign of mutual respect and cognitive space. When a conversation begins to heat up, that gap collapses. It's the first thing to go. You'll see a surge in interruptions and simultaneous starts, where 2 people begin talking at once. It's no longer a dialogue, it's a competition for the floor. Another subtle sign is the disappearance of back channels. These are the small nods and sounds like, uh-huh, or right, that signal, I'm listening. When people are gearing up for a fight, they stop giving these signals. They're no longer listening, they're reloading. Now, not all overlaps are hostile. Friends often finish each other's sentences as a sign of rapport. The key difference is whether the floor is handed back gracefully. In a conflict, the overlaps aren't supportive. They are invasions designed to take control. When you see this pattern, the vanishing gap, the rising overlaps, the silent listeners, you are seeing the vital signs of a conversation in distress. When the tempo is the problem, your move is to fix the tempo. You don't argue the facts, you restore the process. Your goal is to deliberately reinsert that 200 millisecond gap. You do this with a neutral, process-focused intervention. You can say, I want to make sure I'm hearing both points clearly. Let's try 60 seconds each. I'll keep time. This works because it breaks the reactive loop. It stops the frantic competition for airtime and appeals to a universal sense of fairness. For example, in a tense product roadmap debate, 2 managers are talking over each other. The gap is 0. Instead of taking a side, you calmly interject. This is clearly important to both of you. Alex, give us your take in 1 minute, then Priya, you'll get the same. As you say this, you make one slow, deliberate exhale. The act of imposing a turn-taking structure instantly lowers the temperature. Shoulders loosen. People sit back. You become the conductor of the conversation, not another combatant. The second signal is breathing. A calm adult breathes about 12 to 20 times a minute, a slow, steady rhythm from the diaphragm. Under stress, the body's ancient survival wiring kicks in. The breath becomes shallow, rapid, and moves into the upper chest. This is the body preparing for a fight or flight. You can see it. Look for shoulders that rise and fall quickly with each breath. Listen for audible, sharp inhales. An even bigger tell is the breath hold. A person will freeze for a moment, holding their breath as they prepare to interrupt or deliver a sharp point. This is often followed by a hard, percussive exhale through the nostrils. You might see their jaw tighten at the same time. These are not conscious actions. They are autonomic responses to a perceived threat. You are not a mind reader, and you should never call someone out on their breathing. But when you see these patterns, you are getting a direct report from their nervous system that says, I am activated. I feel under attack. It's a powerful leading indicator that the emotional stakes have just been raised. Just as you can regulate the room's tempo, you can regulate its energy by pacing your own breath. When you see arousal spiking, your first move is internal. Take one slow, deliberate breath, in for about 5 seconds and out for about 5 seconds. Research on resonance breathing shows that this pace, around 6 breaths per minute, maximizes your heart rate variability, a key marker of composure. It physically settles your own nervous system. Your second move is external. When you claim the floor to speak, let your first exhale be slow and audible. This has a powerful co-regulating effect on others in the room. Your calm state non-verbally invites them to match your rhythm. On a tense client call about scope creep, you notice the client sighing heavily before interrupting twice. You see their shoulders are up by their ears. You intervene by saying, "I'm hearing a lot of urgency here. Let me summarize what I've got so far, and then you can tell me what I missed." As you speak, your voice is calm and measured because you just did a slow exhale. You've given them a moment to breathe, and you've validated their feeling without agreeing to their demands. You used your own composure as a tool. The third signal is posture. When pressure rises, bodies tell a story of attack, defense, or withdrawal. Watch for two opposing patterns. First is pursuit, where a person leans forward, perching on the edge of their seat, physically chasing the argument. This is aggressive and confrontational. Its opposite is collapse, where a person rounds their shoulders, slumps, and may engage in self-soothing behaviors like rubbing their forearms or wringing their hands. This is a withdrawal signal. A third, more complex signal is the dominance recline. Someone leans back, crosses an ankle over a knee, and appears relaxed. But do not mistake this for calm. If their jaw is tight and their exhales are sharp, this posture is a power play. It says, "I am so unbothered by this that I won't even lean in. You will work to convince me." It's a calculated display of high status and can be more intimidating than an aggressive lean-in. Remember, these are just patterns, not definitive proof of someone's intent. But when you see the postures in the room polarizing into pursuit versus collapse, you know a status dynamic has taken over. When you see these postures emerge, your job is not to mirror any of them. Your job is to become the calm, neutral anchor in the room. Consciously adjust your own posture. Plant both feet on the floor. Keep your shoulders relaxed and down. Sit upright, but not rigid. If two people are in a tense face-off, physically orient your body to create a triangle, positioning yourself as a neutral mediator. Your stable, grounded posture provides a visual and energetic baseline for the room to return to. From this centered position, you can make a process move. For example, in a daily stand-up, a quiet engineer is perched on the edge of their seat, hands rubbing their arms, speaking in clipped phrases. They're in a state of pursuit and collapse at once. You see this and say, from your centered posture, "I'm noticing we're speeding up on this deployment issue. How about we park it for now and come back with 2 clear options after lunch?" You haven't commented on their posture or their anxiety. You simply named the dynamic, speeding up, and proposed a neutral path forward. You used your own physical stability to anchor a procedural reset. So here is the reframe. Conflict isn't a random emotional storm that catches you by surprise. It is a predictable pattern with clear, readable signals. When you learn to stop listening only to the words and start observing the unspoken patterns of tempo, breath, and posture, you can't be ambushed. You can see the weather changing and act early before the storm hits. Here is one simple action to practice this week. In your next team meeting, just observe for 60 seconds. Don't judge, just count. How many times do people interrupt or start speaking at the same time? If you count more than 3 or 4 in a single minute, you are in a room with rising pressure. If you feel bold, try a small intervention. Just say, lots of energy here. Let's make sure we hear every idea out. See if that simple act of naming the dynamic slows things down. You will feel the room drop a gear. If this gave you a new lens for navigating difficult conversations, subscribe to Mind Mode. Our goal is to stop you from being the easiest person in the room to read. We create clear, practical guides on reading people, mastering your own emotional state, and carrying yourself with grounded power. If you found this useful, a like is always appreciated. Explore the channel for more on handling pressure and staying centered in high-stakes moments. Thank you for your time. See you in the next one.